Joining us on the line now, Susan Ferrechio, who is the chief congressional correspondent for your Washington Examiner. Good morning to you, Susan.
Good morning, guys.
All right, so look, we need help trying to understand what in the heck is the end game here when it comes to this controversy about DHS funding. Let me just sort of set up some of the background. We did not fund the Department of Homeland Security fully because some Republicans were concerned about providing money for the president's extra constitutional programs regarding amnesty for illegal aliens. So they said, well, let's decide it in February after the election. So here we are now. The Republicans do not want to fund the president's extra constitutional programs regarding amnesty, but it's all tied up in the bill. And now, if you can't solve that problem, you don't fund DHS, and then, boy, we got a problem on our hands, some think. How is this going to be resolved?
Right. We only have until February 27th to come up with some kind of solution because that's when funding officially runs out for the department. And I will tell you, Republicans in the House and Senate want to avoid that for a number of reasons. First of all, they never do well with these shutdown fights. The public hates it. They sink in the polls. Plus, we've got this elevated sense of terrorism threat in the United States, threats against shopping malls and things going on overseas where, the public definitely wants their Department of Homeland Security up and running at full force. Republicans know this. So when you ask what's the end game, you've got to keep that in mind. They are looking at what the response would be if Friday comes and goes and they don't have anything. The problem is they've come up with a deal where they say, okay, we're going to uncouple this provision that would block the president's immigration actions, and then we'll vote separately on a bill, a clean bill, to fund the Department of Homeland Security. Now, they can probably get that through in the Senate. The problem is there's a larger faction of conservatives in the House who aren't going to like this. And so there's going to be a lot of blowback over there. They're meeting this morning to discuss it in private. You're going to hear a lot of complaints from conservatives who are going to say the Republicans are buckling and that they should just stand firm on this because the president has acted outside his constitutional authority in their opinion. So what will likely happen is this legislation will get through with the help of Democratic support in the House. It'll get through the Senate. I don't think Republicans are going to let the Department of Homeland Security go unfunded at all or for long. There may be a lapse of a few days just because they just can't get everything wrapped up in time. But I just don't think you're going to see this extended period of time where the Department of Homeland Security is not being funded.
Susan Ferrechio, you covered all of the wrangling there at the end of 2014 during the lame duck session where the House Republicans went ahead and passed the president's budget. It wasn't a continuing resolution. It was a brand new budget with a whole lot of spending. And the idea at that time was, okay, here's what we'll do. We'll set aside DHS and we'll have this debate later when we've got a majority in the Senate. Did they not see this coming? Did they not know that Democrats were going to filibuster this? Did they ever have an actual end game when they had that discussion in December?
They did see it coming, and it was really interesting because at the time, we asked these questions of lawmakers, and they said, this is going to put us in a box. This is just going to put this off until next year, and then we're going to be in the same position we're in now, which is that they don't have a supermajority that can override a presidential veto in the Senate, so they can't really force through the kind of change they would like to put in place. They want to stop the president from these executive actions. Here's the out, though, Larry, and that is the Texas ruling from earlier this month. A federal court judge said that we need to, the president cannot implement the November executive actions which provide work permits and federal benefits for millions of illegal immigrants because 26 states are preparing a lawsuit, and so that's been put on hold. Republicans are saying that means that it's not as necessary for Republicans to act on this because the courts are doing the work. And so they think it buys them some time. And that is the out the Republicans are going to try to use in this. I don't know if it's going to work with conservatives, but I do think ultimately that the Republican leadership will push through spending for the Department of Homeland Security.
All right. So now the other thing that happened yesterday is the president was sent the Keystone Pipeline bill, and about 12 seconds later it came back vetoed.
Yeah, not terribly surprising. This was a long-predicted veto by the president. This has been a great position for the Republicans who have not had a great year so far. There's been a lot of infighting. They haven't been able to get things passed and signed into law, obviously. But the Keystone Pipeline bill has been a popular piece of legislation. It's got bipartisan support, and they were able to position themselves as, passing a jobs bill and then saying the president vetoed a jobs bill. So the Republicans in messaging were coming out on top with that yesterday. It's not surprising the president vetoed it. We talked to people on Capitol Hill yesterday who said, this could come up again in terms of amendments on other legislation where they keep trying to drum up support for the Keystone Pipeline bill and make the president look as though he is opposing a jobs bill. The president, though, is asserting his authority. Ironically, he's got this battle between Congress. So the two branches fighting for power here. The president's saying that the Congress is trying to go around him, and the process that he believes should be in place to weigh whether or not the pipeline should go forward. But everybody
do they have the votes to override the veto?
No, they don't, and that 67 votes are nowhere near that. It's possible someday down the line they may come up with those votes, but at this point it's more of a messaging bill for Republicans, and it's a good one for them.
Susan, one last thing. D.C. is set to put legalized marijuana into effect as of midnight tonight. You saw that the mayor and the chief of police came out with the provisions yesterday. This could be another showdown the Republicans in the House have, this time with Muriel Bowser herself. According to the Washington Post, late yesterday, Jason Chaffetz, who is now the chairman of the Oversight Committee, said that Muriel Bowser could go to prison if she lets this law go forward. How do you see that shaping up?
This is a really interesting fight, you guys. The district and Congress have been battling it out, since the beginning of time. District wants to have its own, be autonomous and not have Congress telling it what to do. It can't stand that. But in this instance, Congress did pass a provision in last year's spending bill blocking this initiative on marijuana. The District of Columbia disagrees. They think it only applies going forward, and since they passed a referendum before that it should be legal. And the two sides are really holding their ground on this. The question I have is, how far is the House Oversight Committee, run by, as you referenced, Jason Chaffetz, how far are they going to go with this? How far are they going to push this with the District of Columbia? Are they going to put the mayor in jail? And, I kind of doubt that, but I think right now everyone's trying to assert their own, autonomy on this. Congress thinks they have a right to tell the district what to do. The district, and technically they do, but the district doesn't like that, and they're always pushing back on it. And this is going to be really interesting to see just how far House Oversight pushes it, because it sounds to me like the district is not going to cave in on this one.
It will be interesting, and
it is fascinating.
And I actually find it even more fascinating that this is the law that Republicans decide to hold the line on, not the gun laws, not all the other things that this crazy council does.
They've tried on gun laws. They've tried on abortion issues. They've gone all over, run the gamut on things.
I don't remember them threatening to throw the mayor in jail.
Yeah, what about when Mayor Barry may he rest in peace?
Well, he actually did go to jail. All right, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Susan Ferrechio, Washington Examiner.
Always appreciated.